Ambassador Krellax had seen many strange things in his 40 cycles of diplomatic service across the Galactic Council. He had witnessed the methane breathers of Titan perform their crystalline dances, observed the hive mind of Kepler 442b negotiate with themselves, and even survived a dinner party hosted by the notoriously poisonous Sithari. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared him for the human standing before him in the Xenobiology Containment Unit. Dr. Sarah Chen stood barely 5.5 feet tall, her frame appearing almost fragile compared to Krellax's towering 8-foot chitinous form. She wore the standard-issue white coat of the research division, her dark hair pulled back in what humans called a ponytail. But it wasn't her appearance that had frozen Krellax in his tracks. It was what surrounded her. 6 Vexthor cubs, circled her legs like some sort of bizarre dance. The Vexthor, apex predators from the death world of Krath 9, were classified as Class A threats by every military force in the known galaxy. Adult Vexthor stood 7 feet at the shoulder, possessed retractable claws capable of shearing through starship hull plating, and had a bite force that could crush titanium. Their cubs, while smaller, were no less dangerous. Each one was roughly the size of an earth lion, covered in midnight black scales with rows of serrated teeth visible even when their mouths were closed. And they were playing with the human. Dr. Chen, Krellax managed, his translator struggling to convey the proper mixture of horror and confusion in his voice. I must insist that you exit the containment field immediately. Those creatures are... One of the cubs lunged at Sarah's wrist, its jaws opening to reveal teeth like obsidian daggers. Krellax's hand flew to his emergency comm, ready to call security, ready to watch another species make the fatal mistake of underestimating a Vexthor. Tap. Sarah's free hand moved faster than Krellax's compound eyes could track. Her fingers struck the cub's nose, not hard, but firm enough to be noticed. The cub froze mid-bite, its pupils dilating in surprise. No, Sarah said, her voice calm but carrying an edge of authority that seemed to resonate in the contained space. We don't bite. The cub sat. Just sat. Its haunches hit the ground, its tail curling around its body, its head tilting slightly as if processing this unexpected development. Another cub tried its luck, approaching from Sarah's left side with the patient stalk of a born hunter. It too received a tap on the nose and the same simple command. It too sat, looking almost confused by its own compliance. Within 30 seconds, all 6 Vexthor cubs sat in a perfect line before the human, their predatory eyes fixed on her with what could only be described as anticipation. Good boys, Sarah cooed, reaching into her coat pocket. Good girls. Who wants treats? The cubs' tails began to wag. Krellax felt his secondary brain shutting down from sheer cognitive overload. How? He finally asked, his voice barely above a whisper. How are you still alive? How are they obeying you? Sarah glanced back at him, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Oh, this? Standard animal behavior modification. Positive reinforcement, clear boundaries, consistent responses. We've been doing this on Earth for thousands of years. She tossed small cubes of what appeared to be protein-synthesized meat to each cub in turn. They caught them with surprising delicacy, crunching contentedly. But they're Vexthors, Krellax protested. They're not domesticatable. They lack the neural flexibility for... Every species says that about their apex predators, Sarah interrupted gently, scratching one of the cubs behind its auditory ridge. The creature leaned into her touch, a low rumbling emanating from its chest. We said the same thing about wolves once, and tigers, and crocodiles, and bears. She paused thoughtfully. Actually, we still say it about bears, but some people keep them anyway. Krellax watched as she moved among the cubs, her movements confident but not aggressive, assertive but not threatening. The creatures responded to her with a mixture of respect and affection that defied every xenobiological principle he'd studied. On Earth, Sarah continued, kneeling to examine one cub's paw, we have a saying, every animal is just one treat away from being a friend. It's not scientifically accurate, of course, but there's truth in it. Most predators are just trying to survive. They're not evil or malicious, they're just hungry or scared or defending territory. Once you understand their language, their body signals, their needs, she shrugged. The rest is just patience and consistency. One of the cubs, the first one that had tried to bite, approached Sarah again, but this time its posture was completely different. Its head was lowered, its tail in a neutral position, and it gently bumped its snout against her leg. "See?" Sarah said, genuine warmth in her voice. "He's apologizing, asking for forgiveness." She ran her hand along the cub's scaled back. "Predators understand pack hierarchy. They respect boundaries when those boundaries are clear and fairly enforced." The tap on the nose. "That's their mother's discipline technique. I'm just speaking their language." Krelax felt something shift in his understanding, not just of humans but of the galaxy itself. The Galactic Council had classified humanity as a Class D species, technologically advanced but physically weak, suitable for scientific and diplomatic roles, but unsuitable for hostile environment operations. They came from a garden world, after all, with comfortable gravity and a thick, breathable atmosphere. But watching Dr. Sarah Chen stand among creatures that would send a battalion of council soldiers fleeing in terror, Krelax realized the terrible mistake they'd all made. Earth wasn't a garden world. Earth was a death world that happened to have flowers. And humans hadn't survived by being the strongest or fastest or most venomous. They'd survived by turning everything else into allies. "Ambassador Krelax," Sarah said, noticing his silence. "Would you like to meet them properly? They're quite friendly once they understand the rules." 6 pairs of predatory eyes turned toward him, and despite himself, Krelax found himself stepping forward into the containment field. Sarah's hand was steady on his carapace, guiding him. "Just remember," she said softly, "confidence and consistency. Show fear and they'll test you. Show respect and they'll return it." As the first cub approached him, its movements careful and almost polite, Krelax understood why humans whispered their species motto with such conviction. Humanity indeed, fuck yeah. Because while other species learned to fear the predators of the universe, humans had learned something far more powerful. They had learned to make them sit in a line and wait for treats.